We drink tequila. We talk. Welcome to Team Tequila Talks.
I don't think so. Okay, so we're pouring. Just blindly pick one, and we'll tell you what we're doing here.
Uno or dos?
Dos. Okay.
All right.
All right, let's do it.
Ooh.
Okay, so because you are a mezcal fan, we've got a couple options here. We're going to talk about it in a second.
Am I giving
Yes.
limes?
It's more of a garnish, but yes.
Ooh.
We've got a...
Put on this.
Do love a garnish.
Yeah. So we start every Team Tequila Talks off with a cheers, which is what we're prepping for right now.
Lovely.
And I'm going to explain what we're cheersing in just a second, but we have our special guest, Emmy Raver-Lampman, and you've seen her somewhere on TV for sure, or even on the Broadway stage.
You know, I dabbled on the board sometimes.
You just dabbled. You are a true artiste all over the place. Okay, well, let's cheers.
Let's cheers. And if you want to top it with some sparkling bubbles after we cheers, you be our guest.
All the options. Okay.
So this is basically a sparkling skinny. I'm making mine sparkly for sure.
Ooh.
Okay. Yep. I like a little effervescence. Okay. So
The perfect amount of sour.
Yes.
So this
Sweet.
is a skinny. So we asked Emmy what she wanted to drink for this episode. You love a skinny marg, and you're open to mezcal, which
Yes.
we love because not everyone is open to mezcal. But we also asked you for a list of maybe some of your favorite brands.
Yes.
And we have worked with a few of those brands. We know and love several of those brands.
Yes.
And we thought that we could do a little side-by-side comparison.
Okay. Oh, I love it. Here
So
for the
this is
challenge.
this exact same recipe.
Okay.
It's just that the one that we are drinking right now is Del Maguey Vida, which was one of your favorites.
Yes.
And the one that we're going to have next is going to be our Casamigos Mezcal.
Amazing.
We know and love both of those brands.
Yeah.
You really cannot go wrong here. You cannot lose. We were just wondering if we play with it a little, does one maybe bring out more citrus, or is one a bit more smoky? So we're just going to sip on it. We're going to think about it. Your hosts here, Cassandra Gina Bell and Sharon Gonzalez, welcoming you to another episode of Team Tequila Talks as we have our side-by-side can't lose comparison of our sparkly, skinny mezcal marg.
And it's just some really juicy limes. I mean, these limes are so juicy. I was like at the grocery store making sure that I was gonna pick. I was like, like a grandma, and I kept like rolling them out, and I'm like, nope, that's
Testing
too
the
ripe.
softness, the
Yes.
plumpness.
So when I juiced them, I got out of one like pretty much like 2 ounces out of one.
That's great.
But it's basically fresh lime juice, a little bit of Cointreau.
Splash,
and
really.
We are low sugar here. We
yep,
don't need the
same.
extra additives. So a splash of Cointreau. And did we do a splash of agave?
Not really. No.
Not really. No.
No, I brought the agave, but we decided that we wanted to give it a go with the Cointreau just to give it a little extra kick.
I like the tartness with the mezcal.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
You know, the juiciness of an orange, the sweetness of an orange, sometimes mezcal is nice, but this, the tartness with the smokiness of the Vida, and Vida, we've had them on the show. Love them.
Yeah.
I mean, not Vida, Del Maguey.
Del Maguey, but we love
Vida.
Yeah.
They have like a plethora of different types. I don't know
Yeah.
if
They
you've
have
ever tried.
they have like 15 or something. It's crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy,
Yeah.
but they're all very distinct and different, which we love.
Yeah, the Vita's my favorite. I used to drink this a lot just on the rocks with like just a squeeze of fresh lime. Like it's just plain.
The Vida is very drinkable. That was
Yeah.
something that we learned. We had Jen from Del Maguey, and she brought several different options, and we were just really exploring the space of which one do you do with someone that maybe isn't a natural mezcal drinker? Which one would you drink straight? Which one do you put in a cocktail?
Yeah.
And the Vida, I think, is one of their more approachable mezcals, and is a really nice, easy sipper. In my opinion,
Because I feel like the smoke really throws people.
it does.
Yeah.
Either you like it or you don't
Yeah.
type of vibe. I didn't love mezcal, to be honest, until I hung out with Cassandra.
Yeah.
And she was like, let's have some mezcal. And I was like, ooh, girl, it stinks. Like, you know how you like put a drink to your lips?
A little funky.
And I was like,
just a
this is-
waft of smoke.
And I was just like, not into it. And she was like, just sip it slow. And I tried, but you got to find your brands
Yeah.
with mezcal.
Yep.
It's like bourbons and whiskeys. You got to find your type.
Yep.
I think even with tequila, that's true, but it's just exaggerated with mezcal
Yeah.
because it's a very potent liquor. It's the same as scotch, right? And gin. I mean, I don't understand people that drink gin by itself, but I love a gin cocktail.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
So you really just got to find your lane. How did you find your lane with tequila?
I've always liked tequila, but I'm actually really sensitive to dark liquors. So I can't do the whiskeys and the scotches and the bourbons and even like swinging into wines, like red wine also. It's just, I have to kind of stay in the clear. So it was always vodka, when you're in college, it's like shitty vodka. And then I went to school in New York and I worked in a lot of restaurants. And so I think I just started to grow, a taste for finer cocktails, and so
As
then
one
it was
does.
like, with age,
with a little more coins.
with age and experience and a little bit more coin in your pocket, you're not buying the handles of vodka anymore.
I mean, I just remember in college, the frat boys bragging and making a game about how cheap they could get a liter of vodka, right?
yeah.
There were random brands like Taka and...
They're like, I got this whole liter for $2.99. You're like, that sounds like a mistake.
it's not a prize.
Waiting to happen.
And then they sweeten it up to make it taste good. So it's like the jungle juice.
Oh God.
I know.
God.
No.
God awful. God awful. Oh my God. I just got like full body chills.
PTSD. Do you have
truly.
jungle juice PTSD.
Truly. And I think I had one of those nights on a really cheap gin. And so then gin has been off the table for quite some time.
yeah.
So it's been like, but then I don't know, once I started really kind of appreciating vodka and learning about it and trying different brands, and then mezcal kind of didn't come along, but to me it came along.
I mean, it kind of did come
Yeah.
along. We
Yeah.
talked about
Yeah.
how, locally and tribally and indigenous in Mexico, mezcal has been around for a while, but it is a somewhat relatively new thing in the United States. Tequila's been around since the 1700s.
Yeah.
Mezcal has been around. I mean, there are rumors. There's
Even
no
older.
set date.
All
Really?
tequila starts off as mezcal.
Right. But when you're talking
Yeah.
about mezcal that you can go walk into Bevmo and purchase, that's really post 2000.
Yeah. Even still, it's tricky. Like they'll have like one or two bottles. You have to find a very specific liquor store that carries a selection of mezcals. So I don't know. And now I had a vodka cocktail a couple weeks ago for the first time, and I was like, I don't think it's vodka either. It's really like I'm kind of a tequila or bust kind of gal.
Well, that's why you're here.
That's why you're here. Welcome to our lane.
I love it.
What's your so I always like to drink seasonally, eat seasonally. So in the summer, I'm doing some watermelon margs and maybe some mixed berry margs and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
In the winter, we were on a big blood orange kick for a minute in the winter because
yep.
those are great in January, February, March.
Yep.
Right? What's your go-to marg or cocktail?
I'm obsessed with passion fruit.
Same.
So my go-to is we have a farmer's market down the street from us, and I'll go to the farmer's market and get some delicious passion fruits. And I honestly, tequila, soda, and just like scoop out the passion fruit pulp and put it in there, shake it.
So you're a pulp person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah,
am
yeah,
I.
yeah.
I love
You pulp free.
I love pulp.
Yeah.
I think it has fiber in it. I'm like, why would I remove fiber out of my diet and I'm drinking a yummy cocktail?
Yeah.
Give me all the things.
Uh-huh.
So no, we just had made last week a passion fruit mezcal.
Mezcal,
Yes.
So that's probably my go-to in the summer. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
What are you more of a? Some people don't like to drink tequila while they're eating. I mean, I don't discriminate personally. I guess you would say purists, right?
Yes, that's a solid question.
They like their tequila before and after a meal. But, that they don't love to sip on a specific tequila or cocktail during. I mean, I will, but some people don't.
I think it depends on the cuisine. I think if it's Mexican food, like all day.
All day.
Give
Sushi?
It, the whole,
Maybe not?
Yeah, I don't know if sushi and margaritas, I mean, I don't discriminate.
I'm like,
get it where you get it.
I've done it.
But I think it depends. It depends on, it depends on the meal. Definitely. I will say, I just forgot another summer cocktail that I'm really, really getting into because I'm not really a gin drinker, is a mezcal Negroni.
Oh, I love a mezcal.
Those are
amazing.
really sweet. Those are becoming a big feature in our household.
I love a normally sometimes me and Cassandra, we go out and we end our night. We'll sometimes share a Negroni at the end of the night because we're like, you know what? Let's just share this Negroni.
Yep.
But the Mezcal Negroni, a good bartender.
Yes, and the right vermouth.
Has to be balanced.
Ooh.
Has to be balanced.
Yeah. Not all Mezcal Negronis are created equal.
Not all, anything's created equal. But you know what? I will say this. To have your margarita or any type of tequila with your dinner, I think drinks are not like cigarettes. And I know it would be weird if someone took a bite of a burger and then had a cigarette in their hand. That would look weird, but I do think flavor profiles when it comes to food, I do think tequila is that one thing that you can drink with anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a red wine with a salad at 2.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, but I think tequila you would.
Yeah. I have.
I did.
I will, and I do. Yes, I agree. It feels like, I feel like wines and gins and a lot of like bourbons, those feel like the sun has to be at least setting. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Where I feel like,
red wine during the day.
Yeah. It just
Have you ever been by a pool and someone, it's like 90 degrees outside and someone's just sipping red wine?
Yeah.
I've seen it. I don't understand it.
I'm hot watching it.
Yeah.
I'm just like, my insides and my outsides are hot watching you drink.
Doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think so. I am a very situational drinker.
Yep.
And if I'm in a bad mood, I don't want to drink, right? I am not the type of person that has had a rough day and wants to go make a cocktail.
Now, bad mood, does that mean like sad or angry?
Either, I think for me, but I will say that sometimes if you've just had a long day because you've been busy or stressed, sometimes there's a wind down element, especially if at the end of the day you're seeing your friends, your partner, or some circumstances, whether it is just like even at your house or you're going out to dinner or something. Yeah. I think in that instance, it's like, oh, I'm kind of celebrating that portion of the day that might have been a little taxing for one reason or another is over, and now we're shifting into a more relaxed gear. But if I'm straight up sad or angry, I do not want to drink.
Well, because it says supposedly, some people are different. It depends on, I feel like sometimes body chemistry. Sometimes it can take you further down the rabbit hole of that feeling.
Yeah, it can.
And drinking, I'm not a depressive drunk. I'm not a drunk, first of all. What I'm saying is
I'm a happy drunk.
I'm a happy drunk. But I don't get down when I drink. I go up, but some people drink and go down.
Right. Which apparently tequila is the only one that's an upper.
It's true. Yes. Tequila is an upper.
Yeah.
You've never had a bad night on tequila unless you have bad tequila.
Yeah. Amen.
So finding your tequila is kind of even a different journey than finding your art, which you have a ton of experience with because you are just sort of across all platforms an artist. And did you start on the stage or did you start and then you transitioned into TV?
Yeah, I kind of unintentionally started on the stage. I was a very like hyperactive child, and my parents, I was a Girl Scout, and I was on the soccer team, and I ran track, and I did tennis, and I was doing community theater, and I was all over the place, and I, kind of had a toe in every activity. And finally, my mom was like, "I'm sick of driving you around. You pick one. Pick one. I'm sick of driving you all over the city. Pick one." So, I picked theater because I think the community theater that I was a part of, called the Hurrah Players in Norfolk, Virginia, I think that was my closest group of friends. And so I just really wanted to hang out with my friends, and we just like happened to be like doing musicals on the weekends. And so I kind of fell into it. And then I went to performing arts high school with the majority of those same friends. And then, I feel like I blinked and it was time to start looking at colleges. And I had visited New York many, many times before with my parents growing up, and I loved the city. I knew I wanted to go to college in New York, and I was getting pretty serious about doing theater and wanting to study that. And so I went to Marymount Manhattan College on the Upper East Side in Manhattan, and kind of that, I feel like that's when I was like, all right, I think this is what I want to do with my life, at least right now. I'm a very like right now in this moment type of person. I've never been like
just like tequila and your cocktail.
Yes.
Right?
See, I'm not a 5-year, 10-year plan. I just, I feel like that doesn't leave wiggle room for magic and for the unexpected.
True creative. I feel like every creative I've ever taught, like I asked my husband one time, you ever had a plan B? He's like, plan B for what? I'm like, like if acting didn't work out, he's like, I never once thought about that.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know, maybe I'll be a gamer. Like he was just like, I have no idea. And I'm like, to be a creative is to be creative thinking.
Yeah.
Well, I also think that if you're picking an activity, when you're talking about musical theater, it's not an activity.
Yeah.
It's multiple activities.
Oh yeah, it's dancing, it's acting, it's singing, it's you're even, and Marymount, I also, because I went to a performing arts high school that was very conservatory feeling, I didn't want to go to a musical theater conservatory college. I wanted to go to a liberal arts school where I could take, biology classes and math classes and kind of, not feel so just living, breathing, and eating and sleeping musical theater all day. As much as I love it, I do feel like it is important to have a well-rounded education. And so, I think that was mostly why I picked Marymount. But I completely just lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? Sorry, my head is a bag of cats.
It might be the tequila. It might be the tequila.
I was like, it might be the Del Maguey.
Oh my God, could you imagine 2 sips in?
I know. Well, listen, we're going to have to get a few more sips in because we still have to try our second one. We still got to try our Casamigos.
Yes, but so that was kind of how it started, and it just kind of snowballed into the relationships that I was making, and a huge part of me wanting to go to school in New York is I wanted to pick a school that, one, wasn't a conservatory, but 2, I could start to grow my relationships outside of my educational experience with actual professionals working in the industry. And so at Marymount, we had a lot of guest directors and master classes and a lot of different artists from New York that were in the business, working on Broadway, directing on Broadway, creating for Broadway, coming and teaching us and working with us and directing us in projects. And so a lot of those opportunities turned into experiences and opportunities outside of school, which was, one of those relationships led to me getting my Broadway debut and getting my first, professional, theater experience at a tiny little church basement in Astoria. It was the first professional show that I ever did.
Wow.
But it's that was why I picked that school, because I wanted to get my education. Also, my parents are educators and not going to college was not an option. So I was if I have to go to school, I want to go to the most woo-woo school possible where they just kind of let me do what I want.
Right. I agree. I came to college as a business major, and then the first semester I switched to a dance major because I'm like, why am I? My girl was like, just be in business like me. I'm like, I'll do what you do. Dance major. I was like, you're ruining your life. What are you going to be, a stripper? And I was like, there are art forms.
You're
of dance.
Yes, a well-educated stripper,
a Lakers girl. God, we class it up around here.
Come on,
okay.
But I think it's true that I don't know now if I look back at my college career and say that's what I wanted to do. Yeah, but I do think it's important to get a well-rounded view, especially I think I feel like some of the best actors that I love and musicians, their backstories are crazy. What they've experienced, and not crazy in a bad way, but crazy in a good way. I mean, you had a good plethora of people you surrounded yourself by that were weird. And I think New York is
it's the perfect spot for that.
It's the land of character study.
100%.
I mean,
100%.
LA's not far off.
LA is second, I think.
I mean, mine was the same when I went to college. My whole family, all of them have several degrees.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here in high school grabbing the phone book going, which agency can I meet with this week?
Yeah.
And my mom was like, I will help you. We're gonna set up a fund, and you're not gonna have loans, and we're gonna set aside money. And if you have to borrow money from me, you'll pay it back, but you don't interest or whatever. And I'm gonna help you with college, but you have to get a real degree and you have to get a real college experience. And I loved college, regardless of what my degree was in. I got a business degree, and am I in business? I mean, kind of. I run my husband and I's business.
Yeah.
And
pause. Cassandra has a secret power. She's extremely smart with business. It's
my degree's working.
No, she can tell you
business brain. Yeah.
She can tell you a percentage rate, a half of a point of an interest rate.
Oh, it's the math of it all.
It's the math of it all.
Oh, yeah, no.
And the structuring
I didn't get
of
that.
it. And so I feel like your degree served you well, but you would have been like that anyways, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I guess part of that's coming from a very academic family. Like my dad's in finance, my mom's in accounting.
You grew up around it.
You grew up around it, and it's inevitably going to influence you.
Yeah.
Right? That's anything.
Yeah.
It just that happened to be my background, but just the experience of college, the social experience of it,
It's
and
so
kind
important.
of living on your own, but still kind of having a safety net and a community.
It's like training wheels, adulthood training with training wheels on.
Yeah, and that's when you learn not to drink the cheap vodka and the jungle juice.
Or you don't.
I mean, I learned real quick. I remember one of the first parties I went to, I showed up and there were multiple people running around throwing up like the color of your dress. It was a green blue. And I showed up and I was like, what the hell is happening here? I'm a freshman.
Oh, God.
Right? I'm like 17. I shouldn't even be at that party. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening. And I remember looking around, taking the lay of the land, going, I think I'm out on this particular situation. And I think that really had me have a proceed with caution attitude.
Yeah.
Go and have your fun, but don't drink the cheap jungle juice.
Yeah,
don't do it.
Don't Anything that comes in a fishbowl with 17 straws, don't do it.
Nope. Anything that's
Stay
blue.
away.
Isn't that my rule?
Anything
I always
that's
say
blue.
no blue.
I don't even eat blue M&Ms or
Same.
Jolly Ranchers or any of that.
Or
None
red
of it.
or purple. I mean, they have giggles, people. Look, they have the giggles as the Skittles. They have the
coloring.
yum fruit. It's beet coloring giggles. We give our daughters
Yes.
the giggles. They're organic. They're colored with fruits and vegetables. We have the Yum Earth gummies that use no dyes.
There are
no
all
artificial.
the good alternatives.
If you look for them, people, and save a coin or two and not have your Starbucks that day and go get some.
Put the Frappuccino down.
No kidding,
It's
right?
bad for you anyway.
Remember those unicorn frappuccinos?
Oh,
that
yeah.
looks like vomit.
Everybody loves it. That feels like very much in line with the whatever fishbowl.
Yeah, blue. No.
Yeah.
Question for you.
Yes.
So you started on Broadway. You've obviously been artsy and creative your entire life, clearly. And now you're, all over the place on TV. People would know you from Umbrella Academy, amongst other things. So I'm not going to say what's your preferred medium as an artist, because I don't think that you necessarily have to have a favorite as an artist.
Yeah.
But what was that transition like, starting in the theater world and then kind of deciding to make a horizontal shift? Because it's not like you woke up and you just decided to sell insurance or something, but you are making a shift in your career. Was it something that you sought out? Was it something that you sort of just encountered? What did you have to do differently in your art to really step in and embrace that transition?
Yeah. Like most things, it was kind of an inner moment for myself where I was like, I think I want to try something different. And I very, I don't get too, I don't get too woo-woo, but I think like you put out what you get back.
Yes.
Or you get back what you put out.
Yeah.
Is that
Both.
Yes.
Yes.
Both. Either or. And so I think I was just kind of floating that energy out that, I'd been working in New York and professionally and on Broadway for almost a decade. And, I felt so grateful and so fulfilled, but I also felt like I had so much more to learn, but I wanted to do that in a different medium because I love musical theater. Those are my roots, but I also really, really understand musical theater. I know how to make a musical. I know what it takes to do 8 shows a week. I know what that does to my body. I know what I have to do to prepare myself for that. I was living in that world and in that, 10 block radius of Manhattan for, 10 years. And that was an unbelievable time in my life, but I was just ready to kind of stretch myself as an artist in a different way. And when I came to LA to do Hamilton at the Pantages, I had just started working with my now manager at the time, and I'd only had an agent at that point that was in New York, and I didn't have a manager, and she was LA based. And, I just kind of floated to her that, I love theater, but I think I'm ready to try something else. I'm ready to, I want to get into animation and voiceover work. I'm terrified by the idea of being in front of a camera and doing a movie or a TV show. I've never done that. I don't know what that is. I've never auditioned for TV before. But in the town where that happens, so I might as well just see if that can happen.
Right. I have a question, because this has been something that I've been at dinners and has been hotly debated. And since you have done musical theater, and TV, film acting.
Yeah.
This actor one time said, the stage actors sometimes don't translate to film because they're too big. And this is a room full of actors, and I was like, ooh, shit. Shots fired. Because there were
topic.
Yeah, because there were theater actors, like famous ones there.
Yeah.
And he was like, and that's the reason why you stay on the stage is because the acting, a close-up requires, and I'm going to do what he did. I'm not an actor, people, so don't judge me by the example. But he was like, if someone says on stage, like, motherfucker, and yells it, he's like, but if you're in a close-up, the tone internally needs to be like, motherfucker. And when I tell you, people are almost throwing glasses at this guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, and I was genuinely probably the only person. And I was like, oh, is that a thing?
Yeah.
Is that a thing?
So I didn't do Broadway, but I grew up doing kids theater, musical theater, all the things. I love to stage, right? But I was always told in classes where if you come from theater, but the general rule of thumb that I was told is do it for the room.
Yeah.
So if you are used to doing it for a theater, you don't have to change your emotional response.
Yep.
You don't have to change how you are reacting. You don't have to change how you are thinking, but pretend like we're in a room this big and just do it for the room, because you would you wouldn't yell. Same as what you're saying, basically. Yeah. You wouldn't say, motherfucker, and yell it right here at Emmy. Right?
You okay?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be like,
more or
who
less.
are you?
Wait, and I want you to answer the question. What do you think about that classic characterization of theater stage?
I think you hit the nail on the head. I think it's a difference of scale. I think in theater, you are performing to as many as, anywhere from 900 to 3,500 people live, and you have to convey your emotion from the stage all the way to the back of the house. Yes, you have a microphone, but you're a wee little tiny person to the people in the back row, and so you do have to convey that emotion on a more dramatic scale. Whereas TV and film, your audience is as close to you as this microphone. And so it is. I feel like I'm still learn. So I have a hard time speaking on it because I feel I keep using the phrase like I'm new here, but I am. Like the amount of time that I've spent in TV and film and working in TV and film is minuscule in comparison to the 20 plus years that I was like working and cultivating my musical theater career.
But you see how we think about time as a thing to, but see,
to justify,
I'm not there yet.
So I'm like, I don't know how to speak on it because I'm still learning myself.
Time, just because, you spent how many years as a baby? Are you going to compare yourself to like,
fair enough,
not being able to drive?
But I think that's the difference. I think I love that. Play the room that you're in, because I think that is so. But also in TV and film, there are moments where you need to be like, you motherfucker, and that is acceptable. But like, that's not when it's like a two-hander and it's you and one other person. And the camera, you know what I mean? But the differences between theater and TV are the work is the same. Like your intention and the journey that your character is going on, and the work that you do behind the camera, like on your own, your homework and understanding your character and your storyline having a beginning, a middle, and an end. All of that is the same. The way just how you're telling the story, the medium that you're telling the story in is different. And in theater, you have a live audience. That is another person in the scene with you. That every night is different. Every night is different, and in camera work, it's kind of, you're like, well, I hope that worked. and whatever cut they end up using is not up to me.
I know, less control.
Yeah, which for my type A Virgo self, sometimes I'm like, it's really hard to let go of that. But then, I don't know, there's something very freeing about it, where it's just like, well, I did it, so it is what it is.
Right, and they're going to judge the best takes. Interesting.
Oh, yes, this is our different cocktail.
Yes,
okay,
this is. I know.
Sorry.
We're pretty casual here at Team Tequila Talk, so we don't really swap out the glasses. But
love that.
I can already taste a difference, by the way.
Really?
And I drank mine dry.
Oh,
so, I certainly was not mixing the two.
Which one is this? Which one is this one?
This is Casamigos,
This is
right?
the Casamigos mezcal.
So much more.
It's very different.
It's so different.
Why does it feel so more potent? That's so weird.
I taste more orange in this one.
taste way more orange.
Yeah.
Way more orange.
It's the same exact recipe, just different.
You didn't put orange in this?
I did not put orange.
Or the same amount of
I did a splash of Cointreau. I think it was
it's bringing
like a
out-
half ounce.
But it's bringing out, it's almost like no smoky and all orange.
I know, but the interesting thing is, so we
Interesting.
did not, I didn't want to dump a bunch of agave in here because we were trying to keep it skinny.
Yeah.
Right? So I made the exact same batch, split it into 2 jars, and then did the exact same amount of mezcal of the Del Maguey Vida and the Casamigos. See, I taste more orange. I don't necessarily think that, we're just saying if we want to put an orange note in there, we might as well, if we're going to put any type of sweetener, let's make it boozy as opposed to just dumping sugar.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
That's what makes it skinny. So
that's why I like skinny, or why I usually just have tequila with soda or on the rocks, because margarita, and that's what gets me. It's like I know what will and will not give me a hangover, and it's always the sugar. It's not really the amount of tequila I drink; it's what's in the tequila. That I'm drinking.
How much tequila do you drink?
Well, girl,
Depends on the day. Circumstantial drinkers. We are circumstantial
post-COVID
drinkers.
or now,
Well, after I had COVID, and
or pre-COVID or now.
I don't like talking about COVID, but this is actually a very interesting fact because after I had COVID, my tolerance went higher.
Really
Higher.
interesting.
And my sister's tolerance, she doesn't have a
didn't
high
drink that much
tolerance,
anyway.
right? But then she's like, I can't even, I'm high, I'm drunk, I'm wasted.
Oh.
And she had like a sip.
Oh, really? Well, I just feel like I spent all of 2020 fancying myself a mixologist. So the cocktails
a lot of people
were, they were flowing.
But see, that's an interesting thing because we're talking about mixology. We're talking about drinks. This is the exact same
it's really
batch of
interesting.
base, right? Down to the exact same amount of lime juice, Cointreau, and I just added the mezcals on top, and it tastes definitively different.
That's wild.
They're both great, by the way.
Yeah,
I love both
it's
of these.
so good.
It's just that one is more orange. One was maybe a bit more smoky.
Yeah.
I would say the first one was a bit more smoky.
Well,
Yeah,
but I think Casamigos, this is the Vida Del Maguey. I think Casamigos is the smokiest out of the
yes.
Vida if you taste it.
If you taste them by itself.
Oh, really?
Yes.
If you
Which I
wouldn't
have
guessed
the
that.
bottles, so we can do that when
we
we're
can
done with
do a
this.
mini.
Just a little taster. I've got my copitas always in my bag. I got my emergency copitas.
You never
for my
know.
tequila
I like a lady's
tasting.
prepared.
And we
She is
can
prepared.
do a plain tasting, and you'll see that
Yeah.
actually I find, same as you, the Casamigos Mezcal to be more smoky.
Really?
And so the fact that this one is more, I actually know that I did this for a fact because I put this one in my knocking point mixer jar, which is our winery, and we have always known and loved Casamigos for a long time.
Yeah, that's how I met
just
you.
Natural pairing, exactly.
Yes.
So I just thought that that's how I'm going to remember that the Casamigos is that one. And it's just so interesting how this is taking on the
It
flavors.
really is of the
differently.
orange.
So I guess the lesson learned here is if you have a favorite drink and you're at home, you have people over, maybe you're looking for some poolside stuff, make a big batch of the pitcher.
Yeah.
And then maybe see how it mixes as a base, see how it mixes
Yeah.
with the different tequilas and mezcals, because this is an interesting experiment over here.
I'm pretty shocked.
I fancy
I am
myself
too.
a scientist.
I did not think
right
it was
now.
going to be that much of a difference.
So
Yeah.
this must be in the fermentation process from the Beano, from the little heart of the agave plant, because this is tasting like it has straight up orange juice in it.
Yeah, it really does.
Okay, well, we took a detour, but I want to hear more about Central Park because I'm
Oh,
fascinated
yes.
by this voiceover. I've never done any voiceover. I mean, I've done ADR
Yeah.
for projects, obviously, and there's an element of trying to match your tone with the way that your mouth is moving and all that stuff. I mean, I've had to do ADR for breathing before.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's
kinda-
always weird.
I know, it's
I've
so
watched
strange.
some of those things.
Yeah.
I'm like, they pay you to do this? You're
They
like,
do. they pay us
and I'm
for it.
like fake running, and
They
I'm
want
like,
it to sound like our breathing.
Yeah.
But I've never created an animated character and brought it to life. That seems so exciting to me.
So I have the unbelievable pleasure of joining the cast of Central Park, which is an unbelievable animated series that's on Apple TV Plus, with an unbelievable cast. I mean, Josh Gad, Leslie Odom Jr., David Diggs, Stanley Tucci. It's beyond. The cast is beyond. And it's not only is it an animated show, it's also a musical. And our third season is coming out September 9th, which is so exciting. I feel like we've been working on it for a century. And it also felt like it was already out. And they were like, we finally have the drop date. And I was like, for what? Because we've been working on it I was like, oh my God, there's a whole
drop date.
other season in the can. And the world hasn't seen it yet. But I So this role, the role of Molly, my character, actually came along in 2020 when in the first season, Kristen Bell, the unbelievable Kristen Bell, originated the part, and she decided to step down to make more room for representation for actors and voiceover actors of color, because her character Molly is a biracial child, and Kristen and Josh Gad and Lauren, just the creators, decided that to make room and have a woman of color voice animated character of color, and then enter me, which and I had an amazing audition experience and got to work with the creative team, and it's just been such a joy. And I miss the theater because I don't get to do the singing and the dancing as much anymore now that I'm kind of living out here and on Umbrella and focusing more on TV and film. And so this definitely scratches that itch, because animation work it's so theatrical. It's so
big,
much,
right?
Yeah, it's big, and you're just going in and trying different things, and it's very much on the fly and very improv. There's so much improv, and I get to sing, and there's unbelievable singers and songwriters that get to write the songs for the show. We have, almost every song in the show is either written by, the creatives of the show, or we have guest artists that write music for the show, which is also incredible. So I'm just learning, anywhere from 1 to 5 songs every 2 to 3 weeks, and going in and recording them. And it's just, it's wild. It's so much fun. And it's now because of the decision that Kristen made, I was given an opportunity that, for me, based on the history of the lack of representation in the animated space, was something that I'd never thought about. And a space that I never saw myself in. So I get the question a lot in interviews when I'm doing press for Central Park, what was your favorite, animated character or movie? And I didn't really have one, because I didn't see myself in that space. I mean, sure, I would gravitate more towards, Jasmine and Aladdin, and Pocahontas and Pocahontas.
Or Lion King. I feel like that's the only thing that comes to mind is Lion King. Nala was voiced by, darn it, I'm not going to know her name.
Beyonce?
No,
that was the
remake.
live action. I'm not making stuff up.
I'm talking about the original.
The OG. That OG.
Yeah, that's the only, when you said that, I'm like, maybe Lion King.
Yeah. And so I think it wasn't something that ever crossed my mind as an opportunity that would be an opportunity for me.
Right.
And now that, I'm a part of Central Park, and it's just been the most unbelievable experience. I'm so hungry for more, and I'm so excited by it.
Every actor wants a voiceover job.
Oh, I mean, girl. First of all, let me go ahead and one, you get to do it in your pajamas, which, hello, and 2, 9 times out of 10, if you're on an established show, you can have an at-home setup like this, and you can do it from home.
Yeah.
And 3, it's if you are so lucky to be on a show that has such an amazing group of creatives and cast, it's just fun. I look forward to my sessions, because we are goofing around, we are trying new things. I feel like they trust me as much as I trust them, and I also feel like they're starting to, especially with Molly, and me being added to the cast, we're starting to dive into biracial issues, hair and hair products.
And aren't you biracial?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. So it's it's also starting unbelievable conversations between me and the creatives and the writers in the writers' room, because they now have a biracial woman voicing a biracial character. And so there are real things that I can actually contribute to the journey that Molly is on as a, preteen biracial girl, and dealing with puberty and getting her first period, and dealing with her hair, and everybody telling her she should straighten it, but she likes her curly hair, and what that is, and what is she
more depth.
Her first boyfriend, and it's just really, I'm just so enjoying it, and I just feel so blessed, and I've been a fan of Josh Gad, because he also comes from theater. He was the original
Olaf in Frozen, wasn't he?
And
we've had Patty Murin on, who we know in town.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yeah, we let it go with a canned cocktail.
Yeah.
That was great.
That was great.
Yes. Yeah, because we're all in the mom space where, we like to put on a bathrobe and enjoy an empty house from time to time.
Listen.
I texted Sherry this morning and I go, hey, my house is empty and quiet. The baby's sleeping. Like and
Bless him.
I'm so caught up on work. I don't know what to do with myself. This is the first time this has happened. Like, do you want to come
Just
early?
doing donuts in your kitchen.
I had a rare morning where it was quiet and I didn't have a bunch of things to check off my list. It was so weird. It was so weird.
And you realize you're not supposed to do anything in those moments, and I still
You're
get
supposed to sit and enjoy
You're
it.
supposed to sit, and I always like,
Journal.
I'll prep the onions for tonight. I'll chop the veggies.
Yes, meal prep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not good at free time. Like I feel like if I am watching TV, like my hands have to be doing something. Like I have to be like organizing something or knitting or doing a craft or who knows.
You see all these
I just,
Instagram things and they're like, listen, when you have some downtime, this is a gift and you need to take that space. If you're feeling antsy doing nothing, that means you're overworked, overrun, and anxious. And I'm like, yeah, I see your meme. Okay, all right. I know, but you're not offering me solutions, okay?
No, I get really I feel like I'm organizing right now and I already just reorganized and my husband's out of town. So I'm like,
you have all the space to organize.
Literally, but then I'm like, I don't have anything. I look under the bed. I have like old sweatshirts. I'm like, hey, do you want me to send these to you? And he's like, it's still 100 degrees in New York. And I'm like, I can do it today. I can get FedEx.
You're like, listen, I love a trip to FedEx. Okay, so you tell me what you need. I'll send you literally anything. Give me something to do.
So I'm also in a space too where I'm experiencing my husband is on hiatus and he has all the time, which is just the opposite of what it normally is. He's normally in the gym at 6 to then go spend 12 hours on set, and I maybe get him at night, except for he's exhausted. So we really kind of try to live in those hiatus times, etc. And he's just such an enthusiastic dad, and he just wants to take kids to school and wants to pick them up and wants to. And so I'm sitting here like, whoa. I've got this free time now, and I don't know what to do with it.
Enjoy
it's a little weird.
Enjoy it.
It's hard though. It's something that like as I get older, it's something I'm just very aware of. Like anytime that my partner and we go on vacation, like it always takes me like 3 to 4 days to like unravel.
Yeah,
like it always takes me like I can't. And he's the opposite. He's like on the plane. He's like feet back, like Mai Tai in hand, ready to go. And I'm like clinching. I'm like I feel like I should be doing things.
Yeah.
And I really like it takes me like 3 days to like unwrap my grip and just like accept that like this is me time. This is us time. This is like mental health time. This is self-love time. This is like put the phone away. No, you don't need to be in those emails. It's all fine. The world is not ending, but it takes me a minute. I'm trying to get better at it.
So on that note, you obviously have to travel a ton for work, and clearly you like to travel for pleasure as well, because who doesn't love a vacation? So what are some of we all talk about me time, we all talk about wellness. What are some of your musts? Like, do you have crystals in your suitcase?
Ooh.
What are your wellness, grounding, me time musts when you are traveling for work or for pleasure?
Yeah. I think for work, it's interesting because like recently I traveled to Atlanta for work and I'd never been to Atlanta. And you're always, when you are in this industry, I feel like you're always going to cities you've never been before for sometimes really extended and extreme amounts of time. And so you have to, as much as I hate to admit it, which I don't know why, but I'm like, I'm a homebody, which I love. Great. I love to, but it's also like, I love to entertain at my house. Like I love people to come to me. I will host the shit out of a party, but I'm not leaving my house for anyone else's soiree at 9 p.m. It's just not happening. If it starts at 9, you won't see me. Yeah. So I think it's really important to me when I get to a new city, if I'm there for, a week or two is one thing, but if it's a couple months, I have to find I'm not a routine person, but I do have to find like the 2 coffee shops that I love. And I have to find, I love a workout. I'm not like a gym person, like going to a big gym that, but I love workout classes and I love, finding personal trainers and or Pilates or spin classes, or I really like classes. So it's finding the things so that as quickly as possible, I can establish some sort of normalcy in a very like upturned way of living sometimes, and finding, the grocery stores that have the things that I love. And I've traveled a ton in my life. I grew up traveling a lot with my parents, and I truly believe that food is the best way to understand and learn about a culture.
Oh, I love that.
So I'm a big foodie. And so when I'm in a new city, I'm like immediately Googling all the good restaurants
100%, me too.
and researching like what are the must-to places. And like for me, the must-to places aren't this Michelin star, boop, boop, boop. I'm like, what's the hole in the wall?
Favorite?
Somebody's grandma is back there rolling out pasta. Like that's what I want, the street food.
I
appreciate both.
I do both.
But I tend to gravitate more towards the like weird hole in the wall kind of like undiscovered niche-y kind of places, because honestly, if something has foam on it, I don't want it.
Well, see, that's that you and my husband probably get along
don't
great.
Come at
you
me
won't
with
touch
anything
a foam.
with foam on top. The answer is no.
I don't know. I think that whenever I am going somewhere new, I look up all the travel blogs that are like, do like the locals do. I want to know kind of the dive bar. I want to know the like questionable barbecue joint. That's probably the best barbecue that you're going to get. At the same time, I'll eat the foam. I have a wide spectrum.
I'll eat anything.
I have a wide spectrum of what I'm looking
that.
for. I am super clean and healthy at home because I know the second that I leave hhome, I want all the things.
I'm the same. Yeah. I'm the same. I eat really clean at home. I love cooking at home. I'm a pescatarian. I also have like a gluten intolerance, all of those things. But I do know it's all about balance.
Yes.
And when I'm on vacation, I don't want to be thinking about that.
No.
When I'm on vacation, I want to be able to try new things. And I also feel like when you are looking for restaurants and eats and bars and bites that are smaller and kind of the local way, I also feel like very quickly that city becomes closer to you. Like I feel like you understand the city a little bit more than just, ordering Domino's. There's nothing wrong with ordering Domino's.
There is something wrong with ordering Domino's. Actually, there is, and you should not find a local hand toss place.
Okay, and I feel like I can officially fancy myself a New Yorker. I lived there for 11 years, but like, don't at me with some Domino's when I lived in New York for 11 years. The answer is no.
My husband is. I will say this about that. I think when you go to local places, no matter where you are in the world, I wouldn't do street meat level food. No. I've aged out of street meat.
Yeah.
But I think the soul of any city, 100%. Country, little hole in the wall is the food. And I think that feeds your soul. And I think that you don't have to speak the language. You don't have to know the arts there. But if you eat their food, I think it's soul filling. And I've been alone sometimes because my husband sometimes works in weird. We were in Romania one time, and they were only 10 years past communism. And so I was like, I'm going to pre-kid. So I'm like, I'm going to walk these streets. And so I talked to the AD and I was like, hey, I really need some place to go. He's like, well, you need a driver. You just can't walk around the streets by yourself. And I'm like, no, just give me the hole in the wall. Give me and it was like goat brain.
Oh.
And she was like, it's a little nice salt, little pepper, onions.
I was like, not an onion on some goat brain.
I was just like, but I will say it
was probably delicious. It was probably so good.
Has she not ruined it with goat brain?
She shouldn't have told you what it was.
She just should have said, this is our local cuisine.
Yeah.
It was, and it was.
Said that.
She should have just said it's goat.
But it was delicious. I'll try anything. This is the thing. I'll probably be on those adventure shows where you eat the goat balls. I'm like,
She even could have said, it's not brain, that's language barrier. I don't know.
She's like, goat? I don't know.
So it sounds to me, Emmy, what you're really looking for is grounding.
Yes.
When you go somewhere, you want to feel grounding. There's that whole line in Die Hard where they say that right when you get somewhere, you take your shoes off and you scrunch your toes in the carpet. And the whole point of that, whether you use that methodology or not, is grounding. Right? Just wanting to feel grounded in a space as humans. Like, or, you can be energetic and creative and you are just sort of in the 4D and the 5D, but as humans, you're in this world and you gotta feel like you're connected to it. Right? You gotta feel grounded.
I've always been like that, like my whole life. I've always, even when I would travel, I was telling the story yesterday, actually, when I used to travel with my parents, I was always allowed like a suitcase and a carry-on. That was it. My parents were like, we're not carrying your bags for you. So you get a suitcase and a carry-on that you carry yourself. And in my suitcase, I would always have my clothes and whatever, my necessities. And then in my other bag, I would always pack decor. So I would like pack with like picture frames and a blanket and like a pillow. And so I've always been like a weird like little nester. I've always nested. And so I think I do the same when I go, because, you know, even when I was in Atlanta for a couple weeks, I would like go to a candle shop and find a few candles, and I would bring a blanket. That it's like I have to feel, making whatever new space I'm in feel as homey as possible is the first like calming, like that's the immediate first thing that I do when I'm in a new space.
Well, thank you for making our space feel great
Yes.
and homey. I don't know if I'd say homey, but fun.
No,
definitely fun.
It's called Tequila Homie.
It's called Tequila.
Yeah.
Tequila Homie. Tequila Home. We should start a pillow company. That's called Tequila Home.
We'll work on
Tequila
that.
Home.
We'll sidebar. Okay, well, cheers, guys. We did the cheers. And thank you for joining us at Team Tequila Talks. Do all of the like and subscribe. We're on YouTube. We're on Instagram. We're a little old to be on TikTok, but we're working on that. I mean, we're going to consult with the kids. We're
the ticks and the talks.
I don't know. But find us where you can and do the like and subscribe and listen and all the things. Emmy, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me and these delicious beverages.
Yeah. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Chemist. I'm actually shocked at the Casamigos.
The difference is insane.
They're both good. They're just different. They're both amazing. They're just different.
I'm really shocked by that. I almost don't. If you told me this was regular tequila, I'd say okay. Yeah. Like I feel.